We know these facts now, but in that time,
They were just
1400 years ago,
observing it, yeah.
there was no way to find out these things because they didn't have that technological.
Thanks ever so much for inviting me. I'm Kat Smith and I've been the MP for Lancaster since 2015, and obviously we're about to have an election. But it's been really interesting to come along today and learn so much more about Islam. I knew a little bit before, but I've been able to ask lots of questions, and thank you for answering them.
I really appreciate Kat for coming down here and giving your time, and I hope you would have a good experience after going out from here and some good impression about the Muslims in Lancaster and about Islam especially. And I'm really thankful. Thank you once again for coming down.
Thank you, and I'd encourage everyone in Lancaster to come down and ask all those questions that they were too embarrassed to ask or weren't sure who to ask, because it's a really good opportunity, and I know that the volunteers that are here today are happy and they want people to come and ask questions.
Just carry on with the interview. Just wondering, you've got a scarf on. Have you put that on especially for the occasion, or?
No. So obviously one of your stands here is an opportunity for women to wear the scarf, and so I've had one of your volunteers put the scarf on me so that I can experience what it's like, and I've discovered that apparently it's very convenient, especially if you're talking on your mobile phone, because you can slide it between the scarf and the head, and I thought that seemed like a much easier way of doing hands-free.
I must tell you, you're looking more graceful, really graceful. Yeah, very graceful.
That's it, basically. So,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt again, your mic back, but is there any possibility that I could record your conversation with a young lady?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd love it if you.
Yeah,
It'd be fantastic to get that on the somebody listening to it.
No problem.
And then if you can ask the young lady about what she thought of
no problem.
today's experience.
No problem.
It'd be great if I could get that. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for young lady. It's a while since anyone said that to me.
So now there's only one version, shall I say, of the Quran. So in other faiths and you get different versions and different types. Now, one unique thing about Islam is that the holy book, the Quran, there's only one type, one
So it's not
copy.
been modified.
It was revealed 1400 years ago, over 1400 years ago, but there's only one type. So not even a dot has changed, not even a word has changed, it just stayed the same. And that's something that is unique. Even if a person normally writes a book, for example, an author, so now it's 2019, his thoughts will change, during the year when he reads other things, when he comes across other people. And when it comes 2020, he'll think, I need to add this, I need to delete this, so there'll be a new edition. But when it came to the Quran, it's never changed. And God actually mentions in the Quran, in chapter 15, if I'm correct, verse 9. Let me just look and I'll show you.
Honesty is the best policy. That's what they say.
Oh no, this is different. So this is the actual Arabic text, and this is a translation, I believe, in Hindi. So let's look for an English one. This is an English one, but it's packed up. It's actually for guests to take, which we'll give you one. So I'm looking for one. All right, they don't have an English one, so we'll just have to open this. So in the verse that I was mentioning, God mentions that I will preserve the Quran. I will preserve it, and we have revealed it. We have revealed the book, meaning
what
the book.
verse is it and chapter?
Chapter 15, verse 9.
Chapter 15,
Yeah.
verse 9.
Sorry, I've opened it now.
Is that the one?
No, that's not chapter 15, verse 9. Chapter 15. Yeah. So this is it. So this is chapter 15, Surah 15, and verse 9. Indeed, it is we who sent down the message, i.e. the Quran, and indeed we will be its guardian.
Right.
So we will
Yeah.
be preserving it.
Yeah. So like other religions, their texts have changed
Yeah.
significantly. And,
A lot. So that's why, for example, if you see the Bible,
yeah.
you'll
And there's
see
loads of versions.
so many versions. Yeah. But whereas the Quran, and this is because God, He took this responsibility upon Himself. He's saying that we will preserve it. When you say we, you know how if you have like the Queen's language or the Queen's English, when she says things or mentions statements, it's like we.
Yeah.
It's just like because of her status.
Yeah.
So God in the Quran, He'll mention verses where He'll say, "We will do this," we will, meaning Himself.
Yeah.
So He said, "We will preserve it," and until now, it's been over 1400 years. His promise has, His promise has been true,
That's
and
significant, isn't it?
and on top of that, to make it more kind of astounding, people actually memorize the entire book. So I've memorized the entire
You
Quran.
can?
No, I have.
Oh, right.
I've memorized it.
Yeah.
So from cover to cover, word to word, I've memorized it.
That's
And
amazing. So if someone asked you a specific chapter and a verse from that chapter, you would know.
yeah.
Wow. That's
However, we actually memorize the Arabic. That's the significance, because it was revealed in Arabic. This is an English translation.
yeah.
So now it's been translated in many languages. So now the essence of the translation and the essence of the message will be the same. However, obviously you get different people translating. So, in each language you've got variant words,
Words, yeah.
so people will obviously translate it in their way. So you might find differences in translations
Yeah.
in certain words,
But the
actual essence of the translations would be
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah.
But you will get a few words, someone might have translated like this.
And
But
that's
that's because of it's human input at the end of the day, the translation.
Yeah.
But the actual Arabic is directly from God, revealed to our last messenger, Prophet Muhammad. So obviously that's not going to change ever. Well, that's our belief, and it's proven to be true until now.
And are there any that you've seen that the translations where you felt that it's moved from the essence, or are they all pretty?
Personally, I found all of them to be in essence same.
Yeah.
However, some in certain words and certain things, they've translated it a bit loosely or in a way that I may disagree.
Yeah.
But it's not been on a very kind of extreme level where it's just totally different.
Yeah.
It's something close by, but I may not agree with it. I'm thinking, no, I think this translation suits this word. And the Arabic language is actually a very rich language.
Yeah.
So for one word, there's so many meanings. So for example, if you look at the word snake, a spotty snake would be called a certain name, and it would have a separate name. A snake with zigzags would have a separate name, and it won't be like zigzag snake or spotty snake.
Yeah.
You don't add
It
like
would be a specific word
it would
for
be a
that
specific
snake.
word. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just an example, and
Yeah, that makes sense.
there's so many words like that, and it's just mind blowing. When you look into
Yeah,
it, you
it
think,
is.
wow. So I've actually forgot some of my statistics and research, but they did some research into languages, and they actually found that Arabic was basically the richest languages, and on top of that, it's the easiest as well
Yeah.
to learn and to pick up if obviously you put your mind and focus to it.
Yeah.
Someone was actually telling me and showed me all this
One of
research.
the oldest languages, or I don't
To be
know.
honest, I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure about
Yeah.
it being the oldest, but it is. It's now the memorization of the Quran. It's not just me. Young children from the ages of 5, 6, 7, they start memorizing it.
Yeah.
As a Muslim, we don't have to memorize the entire book. However, we have to memorize some verses, because when we pray 5 times a day, we have to pray 5 times a day. We have to recite verses from the Quran.
Right. specific ones?
So there's the opening chapter of the Quran.
Yeah.
It's known as the opening, Surah Fatiha. So that one we have to recite.
Yeah.
But then after you've recited that, then you can recite any verses.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
So
op-
it kind of leads into the other ones. Is that what you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
This is the opening Surah Al-Fatiha. Because it's short, we'll just go over it. It starts in the name of Allah. Allah means God in Arabic. The entirely merciful, the especially merciful. So now, for example, this, right, I would have translated as the most merciful, or first I would say the most compassionate, most merciful.
Right.
So
yes.
do you understand what I'm saying? When
But they both make sense.
it makes
don't they?
sense.
Yeah.
Like the essence is the same. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful, sovereign of the day of recompense. It is you we worship, meaning we're saying to God, it is you we worship and you we ask for help.
Yeah.
Guide us to the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favor, not of those who have evoked your anger or of those who are astray.
Yeah.
So this is just the opening that we have to recite in when we're praying.
Yeah.
And then after that we can recite anything. So Surah Fatiha,
So that's
every
kind of
Muslim
like
would have
the
memorized.
Lord's Prayer, I suppose. In
so it's a prayer.
Christianity, yeah.
Yeah, it's a prayer. It's actually a
Yeah.
prayer. So
It's a really nice starting prayer, actually.
yeah, it's very nice. The more you reflect, because God talks about guidance, guide us to the straight path, and you basically reciting that every day, 5 times a day, and in each prayer we've got like different units, so more than 5 times really.
Yeah.
And basically God's trying to instill into us that a human can easily slip up in life.
It's kind of like realignments throughout the day. Isn't
Yeah. So you need guidance. So you're saying, oh God, guide me.
it? Yeah.
So basically you're trying to stay focused and you're asking God, just guide me, and you need to know that you need to be guided as a human.
Yeah.
No matter your age, no matter your status, no matter your profession, you always need some form of guidance. That's why if you look at different professions, they'll always give you like training and
Yeah.
so basically you're reminding yourself that you need guidance from God. So read the book, take continuous guidance, consult the scholars and the knowledgeable folk, and
Can I ask you to actually recite?
yeah.
That'd be really nice. Get it on there as well, and then.
Okay. All right, no problem. Okay, so you want to hear some recitation
Yes.
in
I'd love
Arabic?
to, yeah.
Okay. Over here?
Yeah.
All right, no problem.
It's fine. As good as any time, as loud as you can.
You put me on the spot. Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
That's the first chapter.
So that was
That's the first one that you've just
the
talked
opening,
about. Yeah.
That's what we were just talking about.
Is there a significance with how you say that, how you sing that?
You meaning the tune?
Yeah.
So normally if I was to recite even in English, then you just recite like a storybook. So I'm reciting this, so it says, "There shall come to you guidance from me," and likewise in Arabic. So if I was to recite what I just recite in Arabic, I would say, "Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim."
Yeah.
But we have been encouraged by the Prophet Muhammad, our last messenger, peace be upon him, and in prophetic narrations to recite in tune.
Yeah.
And this, when you recite in tune, basically it spiritually uplifts you.
It is very
Yeah,
It's very nice to listen to.
Yeah. So the Prophet encouraged when we recite the Quran, we recite with tune. And obviously it's more befitting to recite the Quran in tune. So likewise, if you look in other faiths like Christianity, when they recite, their hymns and their different chants, they recite it in tune, and even in the Jewish faith. So it's just basically that.
That's basically
And when you recite it in tune, it makes you want to recite more.
Yeah.
I was actually, last week I was in a school talking about Islam, in front of some young children. They were only year 3 and year 4, year 5, and I just recited some verses because I had to talk about the Quran. That was the topic, and I said, okay, I'll recite some verses, and they were like, oh, can you recite more? Can you recite more?
Yeah, it's very captivating.
Yeah. And it's like soothing, and you know when you in a state of like sadness and you just want to listen to something.
Yeah.
When you recite the Quran, or even if you just listen to it, then it makes you feel like relaxed and calm, and
Does
you know.
it make you feel reconnected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially if you understand it,
Yeah.
and you recite those verses where God gives us hope and tells us about staying connected to Him and trusting in Him, and peace and these type of things, then it makes you feel really good.
Yeah. That was really nice. Thank you.
It was good, that one.
Yeah, it was nice.
Can I just, again, the mayor's there, can I just borrow the mic and then... Yeah, no problem. Just get a quick interview with the mayor. And maybe, can we have an interview later? Over there? Yeah, no problem. Just what you thought about everything, about today. Would that be all right? Would that be okay with you? Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt again. Hi. Are you okay?
Yeah, no
I just wanted to. Would it be okay if we took a little sort of an interview of what you think of the event and what are your thoughts?
That's more than fine with
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Would you mind if we give him a 5-10 minutes to assimilate?
And then come back.
And then
Come back to me.
back,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello. If you want
Ian,
to
hello. How are you, Ian?
opinion your events.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ian.
Ian from Lancaster.
Yes.
Yeah.
He got up in Preston, yeah?
Yeah, don't
Brought
tell
up in
everybody.
Preston, just round corner from
Up
Blackburn.
road. Up road.
Up road.
Yeah. Yes.
How are you, Ian? Is
I'm
it
good.
the first time? How come you're in Lancaster?
No, I live here.
You live here, but
Live and work here.
originally from
From Preston.
from Preston, right? Okay.
I grew up in Broughton, went to school in Forward.
Right. Blackburn.
Worked in Blackburn and Accrington.
Oh, really? Oh, right. I'm there as well. Came here when I was 10 years old, and I've been here ever since. Because my parents came here. And,
Yeah. A lot of people did.
better way of life.
Yeah.
So here I am. What brings you to this event? I mean, how did you find out
A
about
Muslim
it?
friend of mine said you need to go and have a look.
All right.
Because we talk about different things, and
I see.
they thought that it would give me more insight, which is good.
Yeah, he's just going to have a look around, and then he'll come back to me. Sorry, Ian.
No, it's
Sorry
okay.
about that. Have you had how long have you been in, by the way?
I started there, and I've got to here.
Oh, so you haven't really seen all of it? Not
I'm
yet.
just absorbing. I've got a copy of the Quran in English, which is great.
Yeah.
So I can spend some quiet time and.
Right. Can I ask you, once you've had a look around, if you can spot me and come to me, and I'd like to sort of talk to you. Not talk, like sort of do an interview.
First of all, actually, how did you end up hearing about this event?
Well, I'm new to working for Lancaster City Council,
Okay.
and I'm a community connector, so I wanted to actually come and meet people here because I feel it's really important at the moment that we all connect, in good ways. So that was why I'm here today, and that's how I heard about it through work.
Okay. So, what were your first impressions when you entered and when you saw everything? What were your first impressions?
My first impressions were it felt very welcoming, and there was lots that I wanted to ask questions about, and then I met you, and I've had an amazing discussion about Islam and Allah and everything else that's in here. It's absolutely fascinating, and I can feel that you're very passionate, and you know there's lots of emotion in this. So I'm really glad that I've met you.
Thank you, thank you. So what was your highlight so far from the things that we discussed or what you saw? What was your standout kind of thing?
Seeing a copy of the Quran was significant for me, but also how you described all the foods that have been mentioned so long ago and their healing and significant properties, and how we're now seeing that from a scientific basis. I found that really fascinating, and I will take a lot of those messages away.
Thank you. We appreciate your feedback. So if you could tell us anything that would help us improve the event, or anything we could maybe cooperate or incorporate for future events, etc. Any feedback?
I absolutely loved hearing you sing some of the Quran, and I think something about a background noise with that in would be really nice.
With the Quran?
Yeah, just not all the time, but perhaps every so often hearing that, because it was really,
Okay.
I really felt,
Yeah.
I felt something from that, which was really nice.
Thank you very much. It was an honor having you at
Thank you.
today's event.
Thank you for all your time.
No, thank you for
very
coming.
much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
So, welcome. Ian.
Thank you.
I'm Mohammed, and yourself.
I'm Mohammed. Ian, yes.
Ian, how did you know about this event?
A friend of mine who's Muslim sent me a link.
Okay.
We often talk about religion and
Very good. Okay.
how the two appear to run the same course for a period of time.
Okay. What do you do, Ian? And what do you?
I work in property.
Property. Okay. So you must be knowing quite a few who are from the Muslims who are in property as well.
Yeah, I
isn't
meet
it? Okay.
a good mix of people.
Okay. Good.
And Lancaster's a really good place to meet
Right. Okay.
lots of different people
Okay.
with the
So,
university.
so do you discuss about religion with them?
Yeah, we do.
And so you have already come here with a perceived
With a bit of knowledge.
with a bit of knowledge as well. Okay. And what do you think about the event? I mean, do you reckon
I think it's
that
really
you made
well
you made a good effort coming down here?
I think so, yeah,
It's
it's
an early
time.
start as well, in fact. Quite early, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what did you think? I mean, walking about, is there anything which you knew about, and then maybe helped you clarify with this event?
I know about the 5 pillars of Islam. I know the similarities with the Old Testament.
Okay.
And it's interesting to see, I think, some of the exhibits that you have with the timeline of Islam, and also to find out about the science,
Yes.
etc., back from 700.
Yes.
It's quite amazing.
It's a time, a period where the history has totally, deleted from the history. Have you ever had an opportunity to read the Quran?
I have a copy here.
You have a copy?
A free
Very
copy,
good.
which
A
is
free copy,
fantastic.
absolutely. So, do you know what does the word Quran mean?
No.
You will be surprised. It simply means to read.
Okay. So I got a Quran, my Quran.
You have a Quran which is to be read.
Yes.
And because that book, the title of the book itself is inviting you to have a look at it. Read it and see if this makes sense or not. If it's not, your choice is yours. No problem. Because the Quran itself says in a verse, in chapter number 2, verse number 257, it says, "Let there be no compulsion in religion. Truth stands out clear from error." So the choice is yours. Take it or leave it.
So chapter 3 and chapter 19
Chapter 2.
are good
Chapter
chapters
2.
to read.
All the chapters, in fact, have different, angle of. All the chapters are very good in different angle, and you will really enjoy verse by verse by verse when it goes down. It's not a normal textbook which we see a once upon a time type of book. Okay, it jumps from topics to thing. Which copy have you
So
taken?
does the Bible.
You can see that there, but Bible has the way it starts. It goes in the beginning. It was the Quran doesn't do that. It starts.
in.
Because the first verse which was revealed to Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the 97th chapter in the Quran. Yeah, the first 5 verses which came in, but the Quran is not arranged that way. Quran has got the Surah Al-Fatiha, which was revealed early in the Meccan period, and it was revealed in total 97 verses were revealed in total, and that chapter was to seek guidance from God Almighty.
Yeah.
But the 97th chapter, first 5 verses of the 97th chapter was revealed in the first instance when the Quran came down in that time. But this was again not arranged by him, it was arranged by God Almighty, by his instructions, which one should go where and where should go. The Quran was revealed over 23 years. It didn't come down in one go as a book. 23 years, can you imagine to make it stand so pristine and accurate and not contradicting with each other?
Not have to be revised.
No, it was a one man who was an illiterate, who had the who had the opportunity to know all this information, which was never ever known
Incredible.
to him.
I look forward to reading this.
That's the thing. It's got a beautiful index at the back, so it's a very easy for you to even look at particular chapters, and you can look at which chapter and the verses there and cross-reference it as well.
Brilliant.
Is that okay? Is there anything else you would like to know about?
No.
So, anything and everything you see here starts from there. That is the start, the Quran. Okay.
I think it's been really well presented.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
But
It's been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure meeting you as well. Like, thank you very much for your time. And it's time for another samosa then. Okay, cool. that way.
Hello, I'm David Whittaker. I'm currently the Mayor of Lancaster City Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, to grace this occasion, and I'm really thankful to you for getting some time out and come here to grace this occasion. And I hope you will have a good experience and good feeling about the Muslim community in Lancaster and overall the feeling about the Islam and Muslims. Well, and once again, thank you very much for coming here. I would like to hear a few words from you about what your feeling is about this event, and how did you feel about this thing going on here?
Yeah, can I just first start off by saying a big thank you for inviting me to this event. It's been a great honour, and in attending this event, I've learnt a lot about your community and how your community values yourselves and your religion, but also value our community as well. I think it's an important event because it's a golden opportunity to enable us to start to talk to each other as a community and respect each other as a community and respect our different religions within our district. So it is a coming together event, and I think we need to see more of these events in the future. So it gives me great pleasure to endorse this kind of event, and you're welcome to our town hall anytime.
Thank you so very much. And I think you resonated or echoed what our objective is here. The main objective was just to showcase the people, the wider community, about the Islam and the Muslim community culture, and also to inculcate or foster a strong relationship between the community and building the bridges between the communities. And I hope we are up to certain point on achieving our objective. I really hope you have taken it that way.
Yeah, culture sharing is very important, and also loving each other, loving our neighbours is very important, because there's more that unites us as a community than that divides us. I think that's important to affirm as well.
Thank you very much for your words.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you for inviting me. Yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm the beadle of Lancaster. My responsibility is to look after the mayor, get him to functions, make sure he's safe wherever we go, and basically that's about it, really. But I do it. No, I do it every year, where the mayor only serves a year. I'm here every year. So next year I will be here again, and I go all over the country.
So basically, Chris is he's a civil servant
Of sorts, yeah.
So his seat is confirmed.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to lose it.
That's all right. Yeah.
So, Chris, what do you think about this event? Basically, this is the Discover Islam event, and we try to hold it in different parts of the country. And this is the second time we've come to Lancaster, alhamdulillah, by the will of Allah. And I'd like to tell Chris what are his first impressions.
I actually enjoy it. I have an interest. I think we were saying earlier on. I have an interest in religions, all religions, and it's nice to see these sort of things going on and getting. It's a shame that there aren't more English people here, rather than when you look around and you see there's a lot of Muslim people, but it should be more English people. And if more English people attended things like this, maybe we would all start to get a different view of how things are developing, not only in England but around the world. You know, and it is a shame, as I was saying. Fortunately, in some respects, it's the minority of people that cause problems. Doesn't matter what religion they are or where they are from, it's the minority that cause the problems. But we tend to get caught up in that. I think one of the analogies you made was, if you're a football supporter, you only support Arsenal. So you have a hatred of every other football team because you're an Arsenal supporter. You know, does it mean that if you're Islamic or Muslim, that you can't sort of have an interest in somebody else? Or I'm a Christian, Church of England, you know, but I can have an interest in what everybody else is doing.
I'd just like to add, you know, the basic point where we can stand off is we're all human beings. We've all got two eyes, nose, ears. Same, everyone is right, but there's just some slight differences in color and all that. But it's the basic anatomy. If you look inside your anatomy, it's the same thing. So if everyone understands that, then we can have a good dialogue. But if you look at the outside and then you say, oh no, then that's where the problems start. So what can bind us is if we just acknowledge that we are all made of atoms, molecules, the same thing. We are all made of water. It's the same thing. So then it'll be much easier for whatever we set out. For anything, it's not only religion. It's whatever we do in life. If we grasp that thing, then that will make it much easier.
Excellent. Anything else you might like to add? Just because you've seen some of the posters and some of the leaflets and so on. Is there anything that sort of stood out for you and you thought, I didn't know that?
Not really, because I've been to quite a few of these, and I've been into. I don't know if you've ever been up to Accrington. Accrington has a new mosque.
Right, no, I've not been.
Well, so I've been to the new mosque in Accrington. We were invited there last year to the opening of this new mosque, and that's interesting because again, it's like this: people are talking to you. I think the most important thing is people need to talk more to each other. Doesn't matter, because you're right, it's not just about religion, it's about whether you're white, you're black or whatever. You know, people just need to get on. You cut me, I bleed, I cut you, you bleed. You know, it's we all bleed, we're all the same, as you've said, you know. But I just enjoy it. Maybe I'm a one-off.
That's great, thank you very much indeed.
No, you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Nice one.
You've been let off. I'm going to go and see the
Nice
there now. Anyway, it's been nice talking to you.
Hi there, my name is Safiq Master. I live in Lancaster. I was born and bred in Lancaster, and I work with Phil. He has a business. He does all the headstones, obviously for Lancaster City. I'm a committee member in Lancaster Islamic Society, where obviously I got introduced to Phil, and I liaise with obviously for the cemeteries. That's where Phil makes all the headstones. So I'm just going to introduce you to Phil. Just asking him a few questions of how he feels the event is going and what he feels like. So over to you, Phil.
Right. Well, I say, as Safiq has said, I'm Phil Taylor. I own Fraser's Monumental Masons, and that's how I got to meet Safiq. We do lots of headstones, including most of the Muslim ones in Lancaster as well.
How did you find out about this event?
Safiq sent me a WhatsApp message.
Because I do obviously all the cemeteries. I work very closely with the fire brigade, the police, and obviously the hospitals. So obviously, as soon as I got noted for leaflets, we bombarded all my friends and family, and they made a great effort. You know, and really appreciate for the time and that they've shown and to come down. You know, so it's very kind of Phil to come down.
Just going back to Phil, have you had a look around and what did you think of the posters, signs? Is there anything
Well, I find it interesting in that always learning about other people's beliefs, no matter whether they're political beliefs or religious beliefs. It's always interesting to find out about other people's views. I know I've only looked halfway around yet, and to be honest, I've seen things that I'm fairly familiar with and learned a little bit more, one or two items. A few more questions I've not had a chance to ask yet, but there are ask them now. Well, okay.
Yeah, I think we'll ask the more learned ones hopefully anyway. But I'm going to shuffle around anyway, and sometimes obviously he does ask me good questions, so I said, just 1 minute, and we'll get in.
Learn it yourself.
Exactly. So we'll do our best. Yeah. So appreciate it for Phil for coming down. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Rashida. I'm from Leyland. We're here to do the dawah with the Mymn, and basically we're here to just let people know what we're about. We've got all the artifacts about the Quran, and today we have got Kathy, who's just taken the Shahada.
Hello.
Yeah, so Kathy, what made you come into this?
I just saw a sign and I came in, something brought me here, and I've met all these wonderful people. And I've got the Quran, and this lovely lady asked me to do Shila, and I've done it, and I feel really good.
Yeah, and you feel light.
I do, yes.
So we say that God inspires the people, and they bring them here because in their life they've done something so good.
Yes.
And then you come here today, and you actually feel good, you feel light.
I do, and I've got a whole different good impression of.
Brilliant. This is what we're here for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just to ask you,
yes.
What was the name?
Kathy.
You know, did you just come of your own accord, or were you invited?
No, I just saw the man outside and said there was something on, and I've always been interested, so I came, and I'm glad I did. It's been really good, and you should do this every week.
What was it? Yeah.
So what was that? What made you believe that,
I think I'm a Christian, and there's no discipline, there's no faith there anymore. It's just a Sunday thing to go to. And I see all your people, and it's not just a Friday thing, it's life.
Every day, yeah.
And it's really good.
Way of life.
And
absolutely.
you have good food.
Well, that's a lot of it I got, yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
So did you know about Islam before you actually...
I lived in Burnley, so I knew some Muslims, but there's none where I live. But this is great, really great.
That's absolutely brilliant.
I've changed my whole opinion. I thought women in Islam were downtrodden, but obviously they're not.
Yes.
So it's been really good.
Yeah. And it is our choice that we do cover ourselves.
Well, when I was a child in church, we covered our head.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
as time's gone, Christianity, and we stick to our, absolutely. Oh, can I have a nice big hug from you? Thank you. So lovely to meet you. Thank you. Oh, and I hope the rest of your future will be absolutely great, and it's a learning step for you from now, all the way through.
Yes. And peace be with you.
And to you as well.
Yes,
to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Kathy. Appreciate it.
Right. Hiya.
Hello.
What's your name, firstly, if you can introduce yourself?
My name's Katie.
Katie?
Yeah.
Hiya, Katie. We've obviously laid on this event in Lancaster. It's called Meet Your Muslim Neighbours, so it's just like all of you meeting the Muslims and seeing how they act and interact with the rest of society. And I just wanted to know what actually made you come to this event today.
Well, I've seen actually that there's been one on before, and I've not been able to come in. I'm actually originally from London, so I grew up in a much more diverse environment than I'm used to now. So I thought it would actually be quite nice to come up and just have a look at what was going on and just find out a little bit more than what I already knew.
How did you find out about the event?
I was actually stopped on the street corner over there.
Yeah, so Zahid, can you interview Katie?
Yeah.
Hi.
Just if you can come here, because I need that on the camera.
Okay.
Can you see there? Just have a look there. So if you can stay in the middle there. And I can get the sound, so if you can just... I was just asking Katie about how she found out about the event, and she was just saying... You can continue and just tell us how you found out. Somebody told the truth.
Shall I record it as well?
You can do. And I've got one there as well. So
Because I'm using this first time.
Oh, wow.
Because I've got a problem with my both hands.
Ah, okay.
So I just bought this. Ready?
Yes.
Steady. Are you ready? Let's see. Hi. What's your name?
Katie.
Katie. Thank you for coming today. So, what do you think about the event today?
I think it's really good actually. I've learned some new things about the Quran and about the history of Islam and scientific development, so that's interesting, yeah.
That's nice. And you do your henna, because we're doing free henna as well today.
Ah, okay.
And because there's a lot of people, they don't know nothing about Islam. And as a community, we thought let's do some community event. So to remove misconception anybody has. So, and that's why we are doing it here today, because a lot of public, they are very sweet, they are very nice people, but they are confused, you see, and that's very nice that you came, you see, and that's why we are here to answer your questions. If you have any inquiries, don't keep it in your heart, because a lot of times people, they say, oh, I don't want to hurt the person's feelings, right? So we usually say to them, come on, be open. Just take everything out, whatever you have. Because sometimes, because I do community work, I deal with people, they ask me questions. Because a lot of people in this country, they have spiritual problems. They're depressed, they're looking for happiness.
True, yes, yeah.
They have everything. They have money, they have house, they have whatever. But they spiritually, they are looking for something to give them peace of mind. And that's why God says in the Quran, we call it Allah, He says, if you have a little bit dark, if you have a little bit light in your heart, I'll take you out from that, from darkness to the light. But you have to put effort.
Yes, yeah.
To look for that light. You see, and that's why we are here today. Because Islam is not something new. You see, it's been there for centuries and centuries. And there must be some reason that God brought you here. You see, sometimes you're looking for something. You see, and God says, I will guide the person, you see, and also God says, like for example, I used to be messing around. I never prayed, I never done this, but deep inside, I was looking for something, happiness, and I said, God, help me. I want to be a good person. I want to do good in the community. I have everything, but inside I'm empty. And that's when the verse of the Quran I opened by chance. I just random, and it says, "If you have a little bit light, I'll take you out from darkness." So then I start practicing it, and spiritually, like for example, we do 5 times a day pray. We feel more happy. You see, because I always say to people, like for example, we human beings, we need food to survive. Or spiritual, or soul needs spiritual things. Is it not unfair? We don't give that right to our soul.
Yeah.
And that's why people are hungry. They go into drink, but they're not getting satisfied. If you look at those rich movie actors, they have millions, but they're not happy. I'm sure you have heard in the news, they do suicide, they do hang themselves, because spiritually they're hungry. And that's what Islam is about, to give you that food to your soul. You see? And that's why we call Islam, it's not just a religion, it's a complete way of life. It means respecting life, looking after your children, give the love to the children, and when you have a relationship as a husband and wife, be honest with each other, do not deceive each other. When woman is working, the money that she earns is hers, not right. To say to give me that money is not right. And also, he has given every individual person their rights, even animals. See, and animals. There was a lady. She was so thirsty. In those days, people used to dig, wells, to take water out. And she was walking, traveling, and she was thirsty. Because that time they didn't have those buckets and something. So she took her shoe to take the water out. Then she saw a dog thirsty. And guess what? She gave the water to the dog. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, because of man, God looked at action so much that God gave a place in paradise. That small thing, even the Holy Prophet.
صلى عليك الله يا فجرا بدا في القبلتين يقرأ نهجا معلنا صلى عليك الله في أهل السماء وبفضله صلى الهداة بأرضنا صلى عليك الله صلى عليك الله يا علم الهدى
You're on the seaside and just listen to the moving of the water, and then you appreciate That's why in Ramadan, have you heard about Ramadan?
Yes, yeah.
They say every month
يا خير خلق الله قلبي مرهف صب حقيق بالوداد المعلنا نرجو الشفاعة يا إلهي هب لنا عفوا به نلقى مقام نبينا صلى عليك الله صلى عليك
Have you ever been to the mosque?
I have never been to a mosque, no. No.
Is there any Lancaster?
Yeah, there is a mosque. There's a small mosque on Dallas Road by the train station, but I've never. It's not.
Was it
it's in another premises. It's not like purpose-built mosque. Do you know what I mean?
When you're listening to the Quran, how was it? What did you feel?
It sounds very beautiful.
Relaxing.
Yeah, it's very calm.
Did it calm your soul? That's sweet. That's sweet. What advice would you give to the communities about the event?
Well, I think it's really good to come in and talk to people from different faiths and things like that because you learn a lot. And like you were saying before about misconceptions, I think there's actually a lot of misconceptions and unfair misconceptions about Islam and Muslim people that lots of people have because they don't understand. So actually, if you can learn things about who was Muhammad or who is Allah or, you know, about the Quran and what's in it and, you know, how people think about their faith and things like that, it would actually help people to have a better relationship and a better understanding of those sorts of things.
And what will you say to the Muslim community? What message will you give to the Muslim community?
I think, you know, the Muslim community in Lancaster, I think, you know, you have got neighbours and you have got people that do understand and, you know, are welcoming and, you know, we want to have more understanding of that. And I think that's why events like this are so good.
Oh, that's sweet. That's very nice.
No problem.
Okay, hi Heather, hope you're well. If you can just give a brief introduction of yourself and how you ended up coming here and what made you come.
Well, I don't live here. I came here today to meet with my friends. So I've come from Ainsdale, where I live. Wow. I was coming along the street and somebody mentioned this was here. I study something called theosophy.
Philosophy,
So I'm
wow.
No, theosophy.
Oh, theosophy.
So I'm interested in comparative religion, science, philosophy, those sorts of things. So whilst I do not follow a religion, I am interested in others' religions and the similarities and differences between us.
Interesting.
So that drew me in to have a look, and we've had a look round, and we've had a very interesting chat with one of your chaps there about your 5 pillars. So I've learned a bit about that. One of the girls in my Theosophy study group is a Sufi Muslim, but I've never really discussed it with her. So this was an opportunity. Yes.
Interesting. So what was like the highlight of the event and what stood out for you?
I think looking at the 5 pillars I found interesting. Discussing the differences in the Bible and the Quran I found interesting. As I say, I don't follow the Bible, but I am spiritual but not religious, so I lead a good life, I do the right things, all that sort of stuff. So I'm just interested really from that perspective of the comparisons between religions.
Okay. And do you have any questions after obviously going around and being having discussions and learning all different things? Any questions still on your mind about what we've covered
The only
today?
thing I still find disturbing is why do women be segregated when you're at prayer? Now I understand from the chap I spoke to that you're not supposed to touch somebody that doesn't belong to you, so to speak. I still find that odd in an equal society that you can't pray alone next to each other.
Oh, good question.
Just make a bit more space, you know what I mean? But don't segregate.
Oh, good question, interesting question. Now, the answer to that, in short, is normally when we pray, well, I'll ask you this question first. When we pray, who do we pray for and who do we pray to?
You're praying to Allah, aren't
God,
you?
yeah, we're praying to Allah, we're praying to God. So obviously when you're praying to God, God wants us to be fully connected, where you're concentrating, where all thoughts excluding himself are elsewhere, so you just put them to a side and you're only connecting with God. So you need to fully connect with Him. So in this day and age where we already have so many distractions as it is, we're walking and now we have these phones. When we come in to pray, the first thing after we've prayed, I need to check my phone, and even if before we're starting to pray, we're thinking, I hope I don't get a message or whatever, I need to get to this game, I need to do this. So we've already got so many distractions as it is.
That's discipline.
No, let me finish. So now when we're praying, and obviously you do believe that opposite genders, they have this attraction in them, and obviously this is like innate and this is a natural thing where a male is attracted to a female and a female attracted to a male. So now obviously if I'm praying and I have a female next to me, now obviously I don't disrespect her, or Islam doesn't say that there's inequality, there's a female is not equal to a male. Islam respects them both, gives them both a status. In fact, Islam gives females such a high status. Like if we look in the Quran, if God mentioned a female by name, and the only female that was mentioned by name, it was the mother of Mary, and she's mentioned many times. And God has given females a very high status. So it's not as if that God's not giving them status. So Islam does give both the status, but the thing is, when you're praying, you need to connect with God. So if you've got a female next to you, we already believe in Satan. He whispers thoughts and he doesn't want you to connect with God. So when you're praying, with all the distractions in this day and age, Satan trying to attack you with his whispers, and if you've got a female that's next to you, that's a non-direct family member female, you could imagine how many thoughts Satan may whisper in you, and then you can't fully concentrate with God. So it's only for this reason that a female and a male, it's not advisable. It's not
I just find, as somebody who's disciplined, that my mind wouldn't do that. But also, I'm a meditator. I meditate for an hour every day anyway. But I close my eyes, and therefore my thoughts, I block out every single thing next to me. But if there was an attractive man sat next to me, it wouldn't make any difference to me.
No, but you're saying it's discipline and it comes with time. But why not just from the start, just abolish those things that could attract you as it is, attack you, like Satan's whispers and whatever.
As I understand what you're saying completely, but as an outsider, seeing women being segregated just doesn't sit well.
And I'll add to that, we don't fully segregate women off. So if I'm at home and it's prayer time, my mother could pray with me.
No, I'm
my
talking
sister,
about in the mosque. It seems no matter what you say, and I hear what you say and I understand it, as an external person looking at it, I would feel excluded. I would feel excluded.
That's your opinion.
I know.
And obviously,
I know. It's different
I
to yours.
disagree.
And
But I
yours.
respect you. I respect you and your opinion. But I disagree with the opinion for the reasons that I mentioned.
But you can understand why women who aren't Muslim may feel that way.
Firstly, I think because they're not in the tradition,
Yeah.
they're outside the tradition. So obviously, it's hard for them until you don't experience it
But
yourself.
if you're trying
so
to change the opinions of people around you, which I assume this is part of.
No, we're not trying
to help us understand.
Yeah, the more thing, this is more
Then I
about.
think it needs explaining more.
No, this is more about creating awareness and community cohesion
No, I
and
understand.
building ties and
Yeah.
and obviously educating people about what Islam really is, because sadly at many places out there they're giving like this negative portrayal of Islam.
Yeah.
So if we don't hold such events
I
and tell them what
understand.
Islam really is,
But be
then people,
aware that women will look at that and still feel excluded.
no, that's fine. I understand. But how would you feel if a stranger just ends up coming and standing next to you? Would you feel personally comfortable? I would feel very uncomfortable.
It depends on people's personal space. I don't have a problem with somebody next to me. So I sit with meditation and I have people around me. It doesn't matter to me.
No, one thing is getting used to that environment. But in prayer, you know, when we pray, I don't know if you've ever witnessed a Muslim prayer, but we have to stand like shoulder to shoulder, like very close, like this basically. So literally nearly touching.
Yeah.
So it would be very uncomfortable for a female where she's gone to the mosque, for example, and then randomly, suddenly, a male who's a stranger just comes and stands
I
next
need
to
to
her.
speak to some female Muslims and find out.
Yeah.
But thank you. Namaste.
Yeah, no problem. Anyway,
Namaste.
I hope you clarified
You did,
and I hope
thank
it
you.
made things a bit more clear.
Thank you.
And it was an honor having you. One more last question. Any feedback in how we could improve the event, where we could implement more things or anything
I
of
think it would be
improvement?
useful to give a talk
A talk, okay.
where you could cover some of these things and then have an exhibition afterwards that
Okay.
people could look around. Because I feel, you know, if you had a talk and you'd mentioned various things and said they were out here, then you could come out of the talk and then come and have a look at the things that interest you. But from my perspective, you know, I as I say, I study theosophy, and so I'm looking at comparisons between all faiths. As I say, I don't have one of my own, but I do believe in a creator, not a man, but creation, and how things happen. And to me, religion is like a layer between me and it, and I don't layer, I go direct.
Okay. Anyway, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Really appreciate
Namaste.
your feedback. Thank you. Bye.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الله أكبر الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله
मोरकम जी जी हाँ बोलिए
અહીંયાથી આપણે સીધા જઈએ
जी जी
તો મોરકમ આવે છે
जी जी
અને નેક્સ્ટ વિલેજ ઈશમ વિલેજ
ओह आप
नज़दीक से
all right that guy's talking to you
So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Becky. I'm a police officer at Lancaster Police Station.
I'm Rashida from Leyland.
And I'm James. I'm a police community sports officer here at Lancaster as well.
So what has brought you here today?
Well, I'm working with the community team for a couple of weeks, and we got told about the event and said if we wanted to, come over, then I've just started shift, so before I got sidetracked into anything else, I thought we'd pop over and just come and find out what it was all about, really.
That's right. So far, what have you seen?
So we looked around a bit. When we first come in, I had a look about the stalls about the women's rights and how women are looked at, and obviously you've helped me put on the hijab and try
That's
that
right.
on.
Oh yes, and that's really suited you. Yeah. What about yourself?
So we heard about what was happening today, just from about people talking on the station. Thought we'd just come along and check it out, really.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I'm glad you've come down. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I know, just going back to yourself, how did you actually find out about the event? Did somebody actually tell you?
I think somebody had got in contact with with the station itself, and one of the sergeants just said to us today, well they said earlier in the week as well, but just said to us again today, if you want to go across then do. So yeah, I think it was through an email to the station.
That's good. Have you ever been to any events like this? And what would you say going forward? Do you think we should do more about this to allay people's fears or give them a proper perspective of what Islam is as opposed to what they
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've not been to anything like this before. Have you?
During our training, we actually visited a mosque and other places in Preston. It was.
Oh, that's
and we sort
good.
of so we could, it's very free forum. We could ask whatever we want and sort of learn about what it's all about. Like myself, we've not really had much sort of exposure to sort of different religions, and especially somewhere like Lancaster. So these sort of things are quite important.
Would you say when you came here, did you find, because a lot of people that I've interviewed today, they've all said that it's very welcoming and very warm and friendly. Has that sort of changed your perception in any way about Muslims in general, or is it the same when you're well informed anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I think I spent 12 years living down in Leicester, which is obviously very multicultural. So, and I've spent we were talking earlier about countries we've travelled to. I've been to a few different countries that have got Muslim is one of the main religions in the country, if not the only religion in the country. But it's been a lovely welcome. We walked in, we were guided upstairs, and we've had everybody we've spoken to has been really sort of pleased and chatty. And yeah, I mean, I think it's great, and I think it is dead important to do more stuff like this to try and break down those misconceptions and stuff.
Yeah.
So finally, either one of you, is there anything that we could do to improve on what we've done now? Is there anything we could provide? So for example, someone earlier on mentioned that maybe you could have a little 5-minute talk and have a question and answer session and then have a look at all the exhibitions. So do you think that might be
maybe like a little presentation on the way through, like a short film or something. That'd be quite good. Yeah, and talk about the importance of the Muslim community in Lancashire, because it's quite significant, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we are all one community at the end of the day.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hiya.
Hello.
Could you introduce yourself, please?
Certainly. So my name is Louise Hodder and I'm a parent of children in Lancaster, and my husband's a school teacher in Lancaster.
Wow, great.
And I work up at the university.
And you work at the university?
Yeah, I do.
And what do you do exactly?
So I work with students. I'm a learning developer and I help them with their essays and reports and how to prepare for exams, things like that.
Very good. Praise be to God. Just wanted to ask you, how did you come to know about this event?
So I had seen it on Facebook. There was quite a big campaign on Facebook and people were sharing it on the local Lancaster past and present Facebook page. And then also as we were walking into town today, we spoke to one of the gentlemen outside who was like, oh, make sure you come in and come and see us. And we were like, yep, we'll come in once we've done the shopping, which is what we have done.
So you finished your shopping. And
so we finished our shopping.
Down.
Well, we knew that it was on, so we made a point that we would come.
Very good. Just to ask you another number of questions. Firstly, have you had a look around and what do you think of the event?
I think it's a very well laid out event. It's very welcoming. I don't think there's too many tables crammed in. And then I think you've got lots of different aspects about being a Muslim. So you've got the information about being a woman in the faith, and then you've also got some of the interesting things about Muhammad, and then also about all the inventions and what like the astrolabe. I knew about that. It's really important invention and the contribution of Muslim inventions and Muslim items to the whole world, to what they give to the whole world.
You're quite well informed. A lot of people, you'd be surprised how many people don't actually know that information, like the stethoscope, the cat dirt and things like that, in surgeries that were invented by Ibn, I forget his name. Who was a Muslim?
Yes, and he did a lot of things, didn't he? He was one of those, what do you call them, like polymath.
So he was very, very instrumental in some of the things that are actually used in surgery today have been, used in the past by the Muslims. So going forward, just looking at what we've done here, I know you agree that it's very, very nice, very welcoming, very. But the message that we're obviously trying to get across to people is that obviously we're not. What like the media portrays.
Yes, it's not a fearful community and you're very approachable and certain individuals do not represent a community.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's only a minority that gives the majority, a bad name. So we're trying to sort of create awareness and let people actually come and interact with the Muslims. And you probably do, I'm not sure, but a lot of people, because we had one in Whitehaven in Kendal. But the Whitehaven one, there was only I think about 3 or 4 Muslim families there.
I was going to say the isolated populations.
Exactly. So they had hardly met any Muslims and hardly spoken to them, and so they didn't really know. So they were really, really surprised when they saw that, and they were really happy with what we'd done. So, do you think we've imparted that message today of welcoming and being courteous, kind, tolerant, etc.?
Absolutely. Everyone's been incredibly friendly, but also very upfront in saying, look, if you have any questions, just ask us. We won't take offence because we're trying to combat that kind of terrible media portrayal. Yeah, absolutely.
Finally, is there anything you might be able to suggest or do you think which might help us to improve on what we've already done? Maybe have it in a college or a university or I don't know.
That might be a suggestion. That might be an idea. It's very difficult though, isn't it, where you get central buildings and the space. But yes, maybe something up at a university might be useful because the students, but also if you can influence young people more, or maybe something in a school, maybe if you could link up with a school and try and have maybe some sort of lunchtime event or ask them for a half day for all the school to come, because people have perceptions and those are unfortunately propagated through families, and that would maybe be a nice way to do it.
That's great. Thank you very much indeed. I
Thank
appreciate
you so much.
your input.
You're so welcome.
This is where Prophet Muhammad, we'll get closer. Can you see this green dome?
Yeah.
This is where Prophet Muhammad is buried under this.
Oh wow, yeah.
So you know who Prophet Muhammad
Yeah,
is, right?
yeah.
Prophet Muhammad is our last prophet and last
Yeah,
messenger.
yeah.
So Muslims, they believe in all the prophets.
Yeah,
They have
Jesus and
to.
everybody.
Yeah, Prophet Jesus, Prophet
Yeah.
Adam. We have to part of our faith.
Yeah.
If we don't believe in a prophet or any prophet, then it takes us out of the fold of our faith.
Yeah.
But we just believe Prophet Muhammad is the last. So he was actually born in Mecca.
Oh, that's Mecca there.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
oh
Mecca.
yes, yeah.
And then he migrated to Medina, and then this is where he passed away because he had a big community. So at that time there was a small mosque.
Oh, so he's not actually buried in Mecca then?
No, he's
Oh,
buried in
right,
Medina.
yeah.
And then over the times it all expanded and it became.
So
this-
why do you point towards Mecca when you pray there?
So basically, can you see this? This is in Mecca, and this is the house of God. It's called the Kaaba.
Yeah.
So have you seen that? We'll go a bit this way. So can you see the house of God there?
Oh yeah.
So this is just like a sculpture.
replica, yeah.
Yeah, replica. So basically, we believe that to be the house of God in the sense that we have to face it
Yeah.
in prayer.
Yeah.
Now we don't worship it.
Yeah.
And in
It's
Islam,
unifying
it's,
point.
it's like a
Yeah.
symbol
Yeah.
and a direction.
So
So,
there's
a
nothing
human.
there. It's
It's an empty inside.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just an empty building. There's pillars,
Yeah.
but there's nothing inside.
I see. Yeah.
Now, a human obviously in this world can't see God, can't really physically touch God.
Yeah.
But obviously, as a human, when you love something, then you want to basically see something or feel a sense of belonging.
Yeah.
So that's why we've got this house of God. We face it that direction, just so we know. Okay, مع السلامة. تروح؟ تذهب إلى بيتك؟ Okay, sir. Okay. So basically, that's the direction we face.
Yeah.
And God, and it's like, in life, you want to stay on one direction.
Yeah.
The straight path.
Yeah.
So this is the message.
like that,
So
yeah.
keep yourself focused. So don't face that way and that way. It's just keep yourself focused in one way.
So where is this? Whereabouts in the world is this?
In Arabia. So there's a city, a country called Arabia, Saudi Arabia now basically, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So in Saudi Arabia, there's two cities, one's Mecca, one's Medina.
Oh, right.
And they're about, depending on what mode of travel you take, they're about 2 hours away from each other. Now they've got a train system, so they're saying that it'll take you there, in a very short distance.
Right. That's a massive building.
It's massive. Yes, it increased, over the years, and so many, I would say millions of people visit both Mecca and Medina from all around the world. Muslims.
So what is in here? What's in
It's
the
a mosque. It's a mosque.
So, it's all one mosque.
It's all one mosque. The main part of the mosque is here.
Yeah.
You know where the Prophet Muhammad was?
Right.
He's buried under this.
Yeah. In the ground underneath.
Yeah, so basically, Prophet Muhammad's house in his time, 1400 years ago, his house was here. And the mosque was right next to his house.
Yeah.
And the Prophet Muhammad passed away in his house. And obviously, it's part of beliefs in religious texts, not just in Islam, but even previous texts, that wherever a prophet passes away, he's buried there. So Prophet Muhammad passed away in his house. It was just next to the mosque.
Right.
So he was buried there, and this is where it is. But this dome and all this, it was created and it came way after the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
He didn't ask for this, or he didn't say, "Oh, I want such a big mosque." It just came later. Advancement of times. People started having more resources, and
Yeah. It's amazing.
it's
enormous,
amazing
isn't it?
when you go there, and even there, Mecca, that feeling that you get is just mind-blowing. It's so spiritual. Have you ever seen any videos?
No.
Check online.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So if you see some videos, just type in Kaaba or House of God in Arabia, people worshipping. So at least you'll get an understanding. And even Medina as well, the Mosque of Medina, how people pray. But when you physically go there, that spiritual sense of feeling is like mind-blowing. What faith do you follow yourself?
Sorry.
No, problem. Take your time.
Christian.
Oh, Christian. Oh, okay. And which denomination?
Well, my wife and my children are Roman Catholic.
Also, your child is Roman Catholic. And yourself?
I'm Anglican.
Oh, interesting. So how come there's a divide?
No, just I was brought up at the Church of England, and my wife was brought up as a Catholic.
So do you have a lot of clashes and stuff?
No, not really.
No?
We have lower differences. Not really. I mean, we agree to disagree on.
Yeah, that's just like with us, isn't it? Christians and Muslims.
We've got a lot of commonality. The important things are common, I think. And probably the same with you. I think the things that we would class as important are very, very similar, I think, to Muslims. Count as important. So I don't personally see a great divide between different people. You know, there are people who like to make a divide, and you know, some of these terrorist people, they're just causing divides, which are not
which is no good. True. Anyway, I'll let your daughter collect her gift.
Thank you very much.
If you've got any more questions, feel free to take all the literature around. You know, all
Thank
these.
you. Yeah. We'll just have a look at Mecca before we go.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, take care. Prolong the discussion with this guy. I did a bit, but then because he had his daughter with him, so I didn't want to.
Good idea.
تريد الكيس؟ تأخذ الكيس.
أحفظ الله.
और कोई?
Let's see.
I've done the two police officers there.
Oh, you've interviewed them?
I've done them. Yeah.
How? When?
I went over there and sorted them. So
Surprised they agreed. Was it this lady? I can't remember. Hi, how are you doing? You alright? Everything good? Have you had a look around?
I have, and I've been talking to people.
Alright. So how have you found the event?
It's very interesting.
Are you alright? We want feedback from attendees. Just to have a 2-3 minute interview, or it's up to you if you. No problem. That's fine. No problem. Okay.
I'll write something when I get down.
Yeah, we've got feedback forms downstairs. Yeah.
Something to hear, especially when she is
employing anybody else.
That is about Islam is about
the presentation of the Quran now is really good.
That's a separate thing.
I wanted to do more of that because it's amazing when they hear the Quran.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, and somewhere along the way they might listen to that.
It's memorized,
but really nice. You know, the words of Allah will affect them. Just the sound of it.
Right. Sometimes there can be mistakes in grammar. I think it's a very recent thing. He knows the Quran like he's the leader of the mosque in St. Helens. Right. So he can recite it
from his memory, but in doubt, I think he
His students were sitting there, going like that. Did you do that?
Well, it's not a must to shake, but it's just.
But it helps you memorize, right?
Helps. Well, I would say it's more traditional. More traditional. You know, because like you're keeping yourself engaged, and stuff, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to move about.
Well, I was telling your colleagues that we're in the Umayyad Mosque in Syria, and it was possible to go there.
Yeah, yeah.
And in one corner of the mosque, there was an older man and about a dozen younger boys, really, and he was reading them stuff, and then they would repeat.
And yeah, and
all of
rock.
them did this.
Yeah.
Which I take it is what you do.
The shaking part, I didn't do as much.
Forget the shaking part.
That's just like a personal thing. But there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing
How
wrong
long
with
did it take you to memorize?
it. Took me exactly 1 year and 8 months.
And how many words would it be?
Well, depending on exactly how many words, I've not counted how many words. I would have to check. But the book that the Quran I used. Obviously, there's only one version of the Quran. There's no separate versions. However, there's variant sizes. So can you see this is like a big version and small. So the Quran I used, it had. I remember exactly how many pages. It had about 848, if I'm correct. Pages.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I used to know, but I forgot now how many words there are in the Quran.
Well, it's easy to find out because people have done an in-depth studies on the Quran to find out exactly how many words, how many letters, so obviously I've not looked into it.
I gotta say to you, I had a postgrad once, an Egyptian girl.
Yeah.
She did a mathematical study
of the Quran.
Of the Quran.
Okay.
And the basic problem was that it was difficult to identify the words because you don't put the vowels in. You supply the vowels. All you have are the consonants.
It depends on which language you are trying to. But in Arabic, they're saying the total number of verses is 6,236.
Yeah.
That's total number of verses, but we ask for words, right?
That's
how many words?
That's types.
Words of the Quran counted as 77,000. About 77,000.
Yeah, like a modern day thesis or a novel.
But have you come across a book that is memorized in its entirety, just like the Quran, by so many people across? So this is one of our biggest miracles, and living miracles, because it's been 1400 years, over 1400 years, and this tradition has been kept going and alive, and it's never been put down, and it's never changed. And I'm yet to find a book that has lasted for over 1400 years without changes. And it's not like a coincidence that the Quran is not changing, because not even one dot is changing, but because God mentions in the book himself, in the verse, in chapter 15, verse 9, that we revealed this book, the Quran, the remembrance, the message, and we will preserve it, we will safeguard it and protect it. So God basically has promised in the Quran himself, in this verse, that chapter 15 verse 9, that I'm going to preserve it word to word, so no one can wipe it out. And because of this promise, we believe that it's never going to change, and it's proven, this promise has proven to be true until now.
I take it you memorized the Arabic version, right?
Yeah.
So there are translations into other.
Yeah, many languages. Yeah.
But when you memorize the Arabic.
Correct.
And the Arabic is the classical Arabic.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't update it in any way.
No, there's no need, because this Fusha, it's known as Fusha, the clear Arabic, the classical. There's no need of updating, because if we look at the different dialects of the Arabic language now present in the world, they're increasing on a daily basis, because a lot of these dialects, they have influence from different languages, different regions, so they add stuff and they take things away, and then they kind of compile their own dialect, so it becomes very tricky. But when it comes to the Fusha, أتكلم بعد, okay? Sorry, this is a Syrian child I was doing interpreting for a few years back, so they've recognized me. So what I was saying, so this it stayed the same, the classical, since the day it was revealed, and there's no need to change it, because it's so kind of pristine in the way that God has presented it, that even the people that speak different dialects, when they come to learn this, they are kind of astonished. And not just the Muslims, I'm talking about even the non-Muslims. So yeah.
So when you're not memorizing the Quran,
yeah,
do you have a job or do you do this professionally?
So memorizing the Quran is not something that is compulsory. Now I'm an imam, a leader of a mosque, so I lead the prayers, lead the congregations. And
but is that your job? Or do you...
That is my job. I lead the prayers. Yeah, and we have 5 prayers in a day, so I'm leading the prayers. Yeah.
Where is that?
In St. Helens.
St. Helens?
Yeah.
Come from all over the place. Yeah. Have you ever been to Cordoba?
I've been to Spain. I've not been to Cordoba. I want to go.
Do yourself a favor.
I need to go. I've been longing to go for quite a few years now, but the chances I could just pray for me that I get to go. I need to go for both history purposes and to see everything.
Well, you really got to see that mosque.
Yeah.
It is. We've been to various Islamic countries, but if you want to see pure Islamic architecture,
it's there.
Spain.
Yeah, because that was like a hub for Muslims back in the days, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what's your name? Sorry, I forgot your name.
Herman. I'm German.
Urban.
Herman.
Oh, Herman.
I'm not English.
I've been Germany. Which part?
Bavaria, south of Munich.
All right. I was in Osnabrück.
Oh yeah.
It was beautiful.
Place, yeah.
It was beautiful. I was like, I was expecting it to be more like England. And when I went to Osnabrück, I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I thought I can stay here.
Germany is very civilized.
Yeah.
Unlike it.
The laws are strict, isn't it? That's why they keep their people. Well, what I saw anyway. I don't know the ins and outs, but when I went, what I saw, they're strict, which is good, and they keep their people in check.
I have to say, speaking as a German, what I primarily admire about Islamic communities is a sense of tradition and a sense that there are ways to behave and other ways not to behave. In other words, standards are maintained.
Yeah.
Islam seems to do that.
But what I think is kind of influential in that is the Islamic teachings, because the obviously standards they are followed by the sources, the primary sources, the Quran, which is the holy book, and the Prophet's teaching, the Prophet's sayings. So, and they stay the same throughout the ages, because we believe that obviously as a human we have morals, right? But a human, when he thinks, his morals, they don't have like boundaries. Like, I'll give you an example. Go back 100 years, homosexuality, for example, it was illegal, but now it's become legalized. Now, I'm not saying I disagree with it because of my faith, but obviously I still have to be respectful to such people. That's part of my faith as well. So if someone chooses to human lives by, they change daily as for a human. Maybe obviously it depends on what spectrum and what level. Sometimes obviously like basic things like you have to respect your elders, that's basically imbibed into everything really, and everyone should know that. But I'm talking about if you go more deeper. So when you go to the primary sources, obviously God sets out boundaries and He's put morals in, and a human, obviously he's best known by his creator. When you create something, when a person, an engineer creates an aeroplane, for example, then he knows the mechanics of everything properly. So if anything goes wrong, then he'll know what to do, and he's devised a manual to guide people that look, do this, do that, because he's created it. So obviously God's our creator and he knows us best. So obviously the guidelines He set and the morals He set, we follow them, and obviously they've not changed since they were revealed.
So if I can put this into a nutshell, the point of Islam is that you and your Creator are in direct contact. You don't have people like bishops and priests and popes in between.
Correct.
You tell them, you're the guy who is in essence the owner's manual for the Quran.
The Quran's our...
You know what's in it, so you tell them what. What they do with that is between them and God.
Yes, correct. However, these scholars, priests, imams, whatever you want to say in between, they're helpful in terms of not all lay people have understanding of the Quran, because not everyone goes into it, and it's not like compulsory. You only need to know the obligations, for example. So then you consult scholars that will explain to you that, look, this is what this means, this is how you recite it and stuff, to help you, aid you. But you don't use them as a medium that, or to get to God you have to contact an imam, or you contact God yourself, you recite the Quran yourself, and God tells us in the Quran on many occasions that think, ponder, reflect, question.
Sure, but if I was Islamic and I had a question about this, I would come to you. And
Definitely, because I've obviously gone through the studies and I've gone through the process where I studied for a good number of years, 6, 7, 8 years, and I studied the science, so basically the rules, so not just how to recite the Quran, but the translation.
Where did you study it?
I did most of my studies in UK, but I also went abroad. So I was in Pakistan for a bit. I've also been Arabia. So yeah, I've been.
What's your background?
What do you mean?
I mean, were you born here?
I was born and bred here.
Okay, the background way back.
My parents, where they're from. So my dad's from India. He was born and bred in India, but then he came here.
Before partition, so.
No, he came after partition. So he came in the 80s, I believe. My mum was born and bred here.
So your background is in fact Indian Islamic.
I would say I was born Muslim. My dad was born Muslim as well, but he was just born in India, obviously. Even my grandparents, they were Muslim. It goes on for generations. I would say probably 600-700 years above me, all Muslim.
Part of India.
Gujarat.
Well, we've been to the northern part, north of Delhi, and Rajasthan, and there.
Okay, interesting.
And I actually went across the Thar Desert, but when we got near the Pakistan border, the guide wouldn't take us any further.
Because they've got a clash.
It's very sensitive there.
I've been to both places. I've been India and I've also been Pakistan. Obviously, I went to India because through my parents. British passport, you can go anywhere really, so it's not an issue. But before I went, I was told, because I went Pakistan first for studies, and then I was told, you won't ever be able to go to India because of the clash. So once they see that you've got a Pakistani visa in your passport, they're not going to let you enter. And I was like, okay, because people have experienced similar situations in the past. But when I went to India, I had no issue. They were like, yeah, fine.
Well, you've seen the newsreel footage of the border crossing between Pakistan
and India. It's crazy, it's crazy.
Well, that's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, honestly. So where, are you from Lancaster? Or?
No, I'm originally German, as I said.
Yeah.
And I live in Kendal now.
Oh, we came Kendal about 2 months back with the exact same resources for the same exhibition.
Really?
Yeah.
Where was it?
Pump Lane.
Community centre.
Youth centre. It was a youth centre.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Yeah. We probably wouldn't have seen it because we don't drive back that way.
It was.
I missed you that time.
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason
I'll tell
well, the reason we came in was we saw the sign outside. We were stuck in traffic.
What guided you here?
We were in
post hoc rationalization.
Swing.
Post hoc rationalization. Whatever. I don't know what that means. Well, it's an important concept. If something happens, you say it happened because of.
Oh, I see. Right.
Okay. And you can explain anything. So watch out for it.
Yeah. We were in Swing Pump Lane, Whitehaven Harbour Youth Project. So there's this building we were at.
Right. Well, I missed you that time, but I got you this time.
Yeah. So how have you found the event? And
oh, it's been really interesting. I mean, I knew a little bit about Islam because I've had quite a few Islamic students.
What do you do?
Something called computational linguistics. It's mathematical analysis of text.
In university?
Yeah, Newcastle. And several of them came and wanted to study the Quran. And one of them, and the reason I asked you about how many words are there, she actually transcribed the Quran into alphabetic script because there's this problem with the Quran. You don't put vowels in classical Arabic.
The Arabic, are you talking about she transcribed the Arabic alphabet into...
She transcribed the Arabic words.
Yeah, so these Arabic words.
Into alphabetic script. using conventions. There are conventions.
So she separated each letter basically, right?
So whenever there was, I can't read the script.
Yeah, yeah.
So what you take to be a word, you supply the vowel, right? Because you know what it means. But it's not actually represented in the text. So what she had to do is go through a whole Quran, turning it into Western alphabetic script so the computer could read it. Because in many, many cases, she told me, you'll have a given sequence of consonants, and it could be several words. And an Arabic speaker knows what word is meant by the context. Yeah? Okay. So she did that first, and then she used a variety of mathematical techniques, cluster analysis, to try to see if there was any way of understanding groups of surahs in terms of their thematic content. And she found some real interesting patterns. One of them being that the main differentiation in the surahs is that there are a big group of them to do with morality and daily life, and another group to do with spiritual doctrine. Okay? And they were written at different times. And the analysis showed that, but also showed various other subcategorizations within those groups.
Interesting.
So anyway, she published this, and it got.
So what is it called? What is it called? Is it published, right?
I think it's published. Yeah.
What is it called? How can I get access to this?
Oh, well, if you have a pen, nobody has a pen.
You know, I've got a phone. You can tell me. I'll write down a number or a name or what.
I'll give you my email, and you can email me, and I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, yeah. What's your email address?
It's okay. HER MANN. Two N's.
Two N's. What's there?
Dot. MOISL. 49 at gmail.com. So if you write to me, I think I still have a copy of the thesis and also the article that she.
Wow. So what the thesis? Obviously, she did on this, but what was the? Because obviously, you normally do a program of study. What was the subject?
Computational linguistics.
Wow. All right. So what are you teaching?
There's a world industry on abstracting information from large amounts of text. And that's what I did. And
that's fascinating, isn't it?
She thought you could do this with the Quran.
How long did it take her?
3 years. It was a pretty
I'm
big piece
looking
of work.
forward to reading it.
Yeah, well, just email me. As I say, I'm not sure if I still have the article, but definitely have the thesis. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, Herman, it was a pleasure and honor knowing you, and now I can learn more through you.
Well, I mean, you make great play. I mean, you, the Islamic community, make great play of being scientific. And so you invented the Arabic numeral system. You have very, very many important people in mathematical areas like Al-Khwarizmi.
Yeah, Al-Khwarizmi, at the back here.
So I reckon that when it comes to studying the Quran, since you want to stay up to date, why not use what's available?
True.
That's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Just an idea. Anyway,
Okay, Herman, take care. Take care. Okay, bye.